Hey, good morning. Pete's Vibes here. So I want to say Happy Mother's Day. I sent Dusty Brick Brown an invite. Let's see if he joins us this morning. Happy Mother's Day. Groog James joined us just now. Hello there. We're seeing if Dusty can join. Dusty has never done a IG live before, so be patient. Let's see if he invite to join. Oh, let me try this again. Let's see if this works. It's just not working. Oh. Oh, here he is. There he is. Get centered.
Hey
Good
man,
morning.
can you hear me?
I can hear you great. Can you hear me?
Dude, I got like 17 like invites and I was nervous as heck. I've been on the internet like doing stuff all the time,
That's
but
what I'm
I'm
saying.
on my computer and I
Okay.
promise you, man, it wouldn't let me for some reason. The live doesn't meld right with the PC. So when I kept hitting the
Oh.
attachment,
Oh,
it
you're
kept going in some kind of perpetual loop. But then when I got on my phone,
um
it was doing the same thing. I said, man, I know Pete thinks I'm a dope, man. Like, golly, man,
no, I don't
this
think you're dumb.
sucks.
You told me you hadn't done one before. I know this is new for a lot of people.
Bro, I
Well,
was so freaking nervous, man. I'm like, man, Pete's gonna think I'm man, I don't want to deal with this dude no more. What's going on, Pete?
good morning.
Morning. How you doing?
How's good? Happy Mother's Day. Is your mom around? Is your mom still with us?
Unfortunately, she's not, man. She passed away. This year would be 26 years, and
Oh
oddly enough,
wow.
she passed on my birthday. So,
Oh
always,
wow.
yeah, it was, but she was a good woman, man. I mean, I don't, I wouldn't trade her for nothing, man. But
Sure, sure. This is my first year without my mom. My mom
oh
passed in
man,
July, so this is my first Mother's Day without my mom. So, but I'm gonna get together with my dad today and my brother. We're gonna go have some beers at a brewery. It was my dad's birthday on Wednesday,
cool,
so we'll pay a little salute to my mom today and my dad.
okay, cool,
So
man.
so let's start this. So I guess my first question is for you. Would you like me to call you? What do you want the people watching or in general to call you? Do you want to go by your real name? Do you want to go by your Instagram? What do you go by?
Pete, we're cool, man. So you can call me Al.
I'll call you Al.
Anybody else, anybody else that don't know me, they can call me Mr. Rainey, especially if they're nasty. So yeah.
So the question my first question actually for you is how did you come up with Dusty Brick Brown? Where does that Instagram handle come up? Where did you come up with that one?
Hey man, okay. So this is a convoluted story. Okay. So
Have you ever told this story to anybody before? Has anybody
yes,
ever asked you
I
this?
have I
Okay.
have told the story because people ask me, where did you get
Sure.
that name? Okay, so it all started many, many moons ago. And back in the day, well, let me just preface this by saying I come from a fairly big family. I have four other siblings aside from myself. I'm the oldest. Back in the day, we were active in church. And one Sunday, we went to church on Easter Sunday. And it was me, my sister that's up under me, and my brother that's up under her, because I have three brothers and a sister. Well, we went to Easter Sunday at this church that we used to go to all the time. We didn't go there, but we went there that Easter Sunday. And we went to church, we sat down, and then, they had like music playing and stuff. So 2 or 3 rows in front of us, there was this little kid, black kid. And this was maybe in the early 2000s. And this little dude was dressed like he was from the 70s. No joke. We couldn't see him from the front. We saw him from the back. I kid you not, Pete. This guy, he had an afro. He had on a long sleeve sweater, which was a cardigan sweater. and he had on a pair of brown corduroy pants. And I mean, he looked like one of the Jackson Five from back in the day. Like, no joke. I'm dead serious. So one of my brothers that was there, he's one of these guys. He just comes up with these silly names just arbitrarily, just out of the blue. Like, he'll see something or person and he'll just give him a brand new name. So in that moment when we saw him, we couldn't help but not see him. And in that moment we saw him, he just said Dusty Brick Brown.
That was the name that popped in his head first.
That was the first name that popped up in his head, was Dusty Brick Brown. And ever since then, I used it like for everything. Like, little known fact, and I appreciate the fact that you're a DJ. I at one point was an aspiring DJ. I actually was in business to be, I actually did parties and weddings and all that kind of stuff. We could talk about that later. But yeah, I use just like the hot sauce commercial. I use that on everything. I use that name on everything. Everything. So it was my handle on. It's my handle on TV, not TV, but social media. Video games. My handle on PlayStation is
Yeah,
everything.
nice, funny. That's funny, funny.
Yep.
Um, so tell all of us, what's your intro into comic books? Because that's how we kind of met, was through comic books. Obviously, that's why we're here today.
Well,
But tell me your intro, then we'll get into the
yep.
other stuff later. So let's tell, like, how did you get involved in the comic books?
Well, that's not really a twofold story. It intersects. So I have maternal cousins, first cousins, and paternal first cousins. They were into comics. And one set of my cousins on my dad's side, they lived in the country because I live in Georgia and we have a lot of country in Georgia and stuff. So I used to go out to where they live, which wasn't that far from where we live. I live in a city called Macon, and the place they lived at was called Lozella. Okay. But it was country. They had no running water at my grandma's house, my grandparents' house. But my two cousins lived there with their dad and their mom, and I used to go out there, and we used to, do country stuff, play in the woods and all that kind of stuff. But they were into comic books too. So there was this corner store not far from where my grandparents lived, and we would drive with one of my uncles, and we would go into the store. And my cousins already had comic books, but I don't think they were collectors. They just bought them because really they're in the country and they really want nothing else to do
Right.
except for run in the woods and play and read comic books. So they basically were buying Justice League of America.
And how old were you at this
And
time?
oh my God, I'm old as dirt. So I was probably about maybe 7, 8 years old.
Okay.
Because I used to go out there in the summertime, instead of me going to summer camp, my parents would just ship me to Lozella and all. So I would go out there and they would go buy comic books. So they'd come home and, I would read their comic books and stuff. And one of the first comic books I remember reading was it was a Justice League of America that had I don't think they were called the Injustice League. It had like Owlman and Ultraman and Superwoman and I think his name was Powering, but it was one of those books where they showed like the alternate Justice League, and that kind of piqued my interest. On the flip side, I had a cousin. He was an older cousin. Those two cousins, we were about the same age, but maybe a year too different. But my other cousin, he was several years older than me, and he was a huge Superman fan. And whenever I went over to his place, I go over there, spend the night, and he just throw out his Superman comic books on the bed, and I just started reading them. Oddly enough, I don't really like Superman no more. I didn't really never liked him, but that's a whole nother story. But and no offense to anybody that's actually watching this, I don't want you to stop watching Pete's interview because I said I don't like Superman. Like, I don't want to watch this crap no more, man. He sucks. But yeah, we got into it, as far as that goes, and that kind of like stoked my interest in comic books, you know. And from there, it was just, it was, you know, all
All
cylinder.
in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So you're about 7 or 8 when you started. When you started, when did you transition from like just reading the comic books to actually taking them and putting them in bags and boards and collecting them and be like, okay, I want to start getting this, I want to start getting that. When did that? How old were you when that transition? Do you remember?
It was probably maybe like eight, about eight, between 8 and 10, because my mom, being that I come from a big family, my mom was from a big family as well. She had like 8 siblings. It was 8 of them, including her. You know, in the South, they like to procreate down here. But but yeah, they used to, and this is the crazy thing, because I live in a town called Macon. At the time, it was probably like 200,000 people as far
It's
as
Little
population.
Richardstown, ain't it?
It's Little Richardstown, is Otis Redding's
Or I
town,
was gonna say Otis Redding
and
also, right?
yep, the Allman Brothers are from Macon. Um, James Brown is not from Macon, but he actually used to have a restaurant here.
Right. I remember that. I was gonna say, I'm like, I don't think he's from Macon, but I remember him doing something out there. But yeah.
Yeah, they would. He was down here a lot with the Chitlin Circuit, you know, basically. So, yeah, Macon has a steep, you know, music history and
Oh
everything.
yeah. Well, I
But
know
yeah,
you're a big music guy too. That's another thing that you and I kind of bonded with was about
oh
music a
yeah,
lot
most
too.
definitely. Yeah, man. Let me say this side note, man. Pete, you are a cool guy, and I'm not saying that because I'm on an interview with you, man. Because I feel like real recognize real. When I met you at Heroes Con, I said, yeah, this dude, he's the one. He's all right, you know. But we'll get to some of part of what I was going to say about that later. But anyway, okay. So when I took it seriously, I basically started collecting. There's a farmers market here, and my mom and some of her siblings, they used to go out to this farmers market with my grandmother. And they used to set up, like, you know, set up booths and stuff if they want to sell old knickknacks and clothes that we grew out of and stuff. They would set up
Sure.
shop on the weekends. And essentially, I would go out there, some of my cousins would go out there, and if I had the hindsight that I have now, if I had the knowledge, if I had the knowledge that I have now back then, I'd probably be a rich dude. Because there used to be people that used to come out there, bro. And when I say there was long boxes, it was like long boxes, like everywhere. People would sell comic books just sitting up like my mom them did. And you could buy those books for cheap. So initially I started buying DC because that's all I knew, you know. Now the bags and board stuff, it came much later, but I was actually careful with my collection because I didn't want to mess it up. So I had them in shoe boxes, you know.
Right.
So as time progressed, you know, I learned the game and stuff, and then I started buying bags and boards. But when I really got into um one particular IP, there was a comic store in the farmers market. There was a corner in the farmers market. It was like a hole in the wall, literally. It's probably, now I ain't gonna say it's not as big as this room, but it was a fairly small comic shop. They had like books from the ceiling all the way down. And I actually saw Kitty Pryde and Wolverine, #1, and then John Size X-Men. So those were the first two Marvel books that I ever picked up. Kitty Pryde and Wolverine #1. John Size X-Men kind of like just, you know, it was like, oh my God, there's a lot of stuff going on. And ever since then, that's when I really, really, really started taking the hobby seriously. So, but there's a caveat to that that we'll get to. So that's when I started taking it seriously.
What
Yeah.
what what? So what kind of comic books are you into? And now you got into. I know you're an X Men guy, so we'll skip to that. But we know you're an X Men guy. But what else?
Mhm.
What else besides X Men? Is X Men
Uh,
probably your favorite? Would that be your favorite? You would say?
I
I don't
would
want to be
say,
answering your questions
no,
for you
no, no. Hey, well, Pete, you're good. You're good.
because I
Okay.
know you a little bit, so I don't want to be like I don't want to come off like I don't know you at all. I do know you somewhat.
You do know me somewhat, and you are correct. Now, the X Men is like my quintessential. The X Men are my life. Is my life. Okay, but and I forgot. Okay, so let me just preface this. There was a post that I wanted to do where Okay, so I'm a fan of Firestorm. Love Firestorm, the Nuclear Man. Like I have a couple of DC characters that I really like, and we're gonna get to that. And shout out to oh my God, I cannot remember his name. He got me started into Firestorm and everything. But Firestorm, I collect Firestorm. Um, and I'm into now. I've actually gotten into the Copper Age stuff, like the Luke Cage Hero for Hire. I do a lot of '70s stuff too. I've got like Nova, the full run of A Man Called Nova, Volume One. Godzilla, I'm a huge Godzilla fan, so the Marvel Godzilla, I got that. Um, Pretty much a lot of the '70s stuff that, well, I'm still missing some titles, but yeah, I those are on my top list as far as me trying to complete my run, my comic run. I was hugely into the Guardians of the Galaxy back in the '90s. Um, the New Warriors back from the '90s. Um, I get into more
What
independent stuff
attracted you to
now.
them? That's interesting. What attracted you to like New Warriors and Guardians together? Because you're talking about like Vance with Captain America Shield,
Astrovic,
Guardians.
yeah,
Yeah,
Advanced Astrovic. Well, he was Marvel Boy in the book and Night Thrasher and stuff. I think because it was the '90s,
and how old were
and
you in that around that time? Then I'm trying to put together because I
a
know you're a
timeline.
few years older than me, but not much older than me. I don't
Mhm.
think so. I'm trying to put together your timeline compared to my timeline about like what you were reading and how you were reading
Well, it was
or
around,
collecting.
it was like '91, '93. I can't remember specifically because I know
Because
in the
that
New
was kind of the
Warrior,
decline of Marvel then. That like 90
right?
was like when Marvel started, when Image started popping up and all that. Because that's where a lot of people, I feel like the 90s was like the time for comic books for anybody and everybody, and then it
I
just,
agree.
when Image came out, it just, we all know that what happened. So that's why I'm interested in knowing like what attracted you to New Warriors and Guardians. Because I remember when those both came out at the same time, around the
Right.
same time. What made you gravitate towards those two books in particular, I guess?
I think it was just the times. It was one of those things where I saw like you know how they did the little things in a comic book where it's coming soon, the New Warriors, Advanced Astrophic, Namorita, Firestar, that type of thing. It was kind of like, I think I might be interested in collecting that book,
Because it
and
was
that's
new,
kind of
probably. Probably
that
because it
too.
was new, and you're like, okay, we could just start from the beginning and kind of get into it from the beginning, kind of thing.
Right. And then too, it was relatable because, me being a fan of X-Men, I was a big fan of New Mutants back in the day. And, well, during that time, that was during my, me coming up from being a young man to a teenager and all that kind of stuff. So I think because it was a group, the New Warriors was a group kind of based on a younger group, a younger team that kind of resonated with me as well. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Guardians was more of a different type of thing. Their look was just, Martin X and Charlie 13 and Starhawk and Yondu. They just looked different. And I never, even though the Guardians was a group that was around in the '60s or at least the late '60s, '70s,
60s.
I didn't really know them. You know what I'm saying? So it was kind of like, hey man, this is cool. But then again, during that time frame, I was also into the 2099 crap, but it was X-Men stuff. You know what I'm saying? So it was X-Men 2099. Um, so around that time, like I said, it was Guardians, it was New Warriors, it was X-Men 2099, and I'm not ashamed to say it. It was Darkhawk too. So I guess
Why would
I
you be
got caught up.
ashamed? Why would you be
You know,
ashamed of that?
Darkhawk is kind of like the meme now. Like people want to say, man, Darkhawk one is worth like $20 million or some crap like that. But
Hey, it ain't Sleepwalker. It ain't
no, it's
Sleepwalker
not
no
Sleepwalker,
more.
and it's definitely not Death's Head. So but yeah, man, that's what it was, man. I just think it was just a sign. It was just part of the times, and being that I was a young adult, because around 90, 92, I had just graduated high school in '90. Yeah, I'm old, and I was still collecting comic books, man, at that point. So it was like, and the crazy part of it is, man, is that we had a couple of comic shops here in Macon, but that was around the time that I started experimenting with like mail order. The worst decision because the postman didn't care about your comic books. They
Is
just
that
throw
when
them
you
stuff.
subs up straight up for the subscription and they would deliver books to you? Yeah, yeah. What
Yep,
all your
yep.
uncanny or whatever books? Yeah, yeah.
Well,
I
yeah,
remember doing that for a
uncanny.
hot minute too. I remember
Yeah,
doing
I
that for a
did.
hot minute when I was a kid.
And when you say hot minute, I did it for a hot minute because when I got it, man, there was a couple of books that I got, and like I said, the postman they didn't come like in any
They just came
boards
in a
and stuff.
plastic bag.
Exactly. So the dude was like rolled them up like newspaper and stuff. Like man,
It
so
came with a
I
piece of cardboard. It was a very, very flimsy cardboard
flimsy,
wrapped in it. It was
flimsy.
like, yes, I very much remember that. I very much
Yeah.
remember that.
So yeah,
But
man. Like I said, it's just there's a lot of things, man. X-Men is my bread and butter. But I'm into independent stuff now. The Image thing, I can't lie, I got into the Image thing because by proxy, being an X-Men fan, Liefeld was drawing New Mutants and X Force before he moved over to Image.
image.
So I got into the Youngblood. Jim Lee, of course, was on X Men, and then he went to Image, and then I got into Wildcats, and there was another group that they had. A lot of
It
the
was
group
wild.
books. Say
Yeah, I
whatever.
don't just no. I was just trying to think what it was. It was Wildcats, and he did. What the hell was the other one that Jim Lee did?
Yeah, I cannot remember what the other one
Yeah,
was, but he did a couple books. I think he did some things with Mark Silvestri too, because Mark Silvestri, I did the Bloodhawk, I did Youngblood, I did Wildcats, I did Newman. I don't know why I did that one, man, but I still got them. Actually, I recollected them because there's a story between the time I started collecting and where I am now. But yeah, most of the Image stuff, like the groups that they had, Cyber Force and Wetworks, I was collecting that stuff too.
yeah.
Mainly,
That was Mark
like
Silvestri. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, namely,
No, it wasn't Ultra Force. Ultra Force. So Nameless Void
that,
53 said Ultra Force. It wasn't Ultra Force because that was like Prime and those guys. That was not even Image. That was like Malibu or before they
yeah, it was
bonded
Malibu.
together or
You're right.
something.
You're right. It was
Um,
Malibu. Hmm.
um, Go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm reading
No, no,
comments too. So
no,
I'm
you're
trying to
fine.
involve everybody involved in the comments as well.
No problem, no problem. But yeah, man, like I said, I was pretty much into a whole bunch of stuff back then. Um, I'm just trying to off top. Like I said, man, there's a lot of stuff that I was into. Um, but mainly I stood in that wheelhouse. If it wasn't the '90s stuff that I mentioned, like New Warriors and Guardians of the Galaxy and all those, it was X-Men and all the subsidiaries that surround X-Men. So X Factor, X Force, New Mutants, all that crap. So
Right. So what's your approach to collecting now in 2026? Because you can't just be buying everything. I mean, unless you are. Okay, before we go there, better question. Back up a little bit. Was there a time because you said you were in high school or graduated high school in 90s, 90 when all those books came out? Was there ever a time between high school and being 7, 8 years old where you stopped collecting, or were you pretty much collecting pretty much the entire time? A little bit here and there.
well, that's where the violins come in, Pete, because what had happened was in the late '90s, around maybe '97, '98, I got to a point to where I felt like I was too old for comic books. So what happened was all the books that I collected up until that point, I ended up selling them. Now, keep in mind during that time frame, man, I had bangers like John Size, Hulk 181 because of Wolverine. Sold all of it. Yeah.
But you know what? Oh, in all honesty, we you and I'm a firm believer in this. If there's always ways to get this stuff again. These books are
True.
not, I mean, they're you may not get the shape that you had when you were younger, or you might, but I feel like if you really want something bad enough, you can get it. You can
Yeah.
get it. You can get a giant size X-Men if you really, 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 really want one to be like, fuck this, this is what I'm gonna focus on. I'm gonna focus on getting this giant size X-Men #1. And that's what you focus on for 2, 3 years and save up to get it. You can get it. You can do a Hulk 181. Everybody, that's what I'm saying. Like, dude, I've been collecting this Amazing Spider-Man Volume 1 run for most of my life. Most of my life. And I'm missing like the first 60 books, which is obviously the biggest books.
Yeah.
I have
Right.
pretty much everything else, and I'm like, if I don't get it, I don't get it. But that's the thing, is that's why we collect, because it's
Mm.
when you find it, when you come across it. I tell that story about my Hulk 181. I went in to go buy one. I walked out with 2 copies of it
Ooh.
for the
Nice.
price that I was going to buy for one, and plus some other
Wow.
books. I got a giant size X-Men in a collection that I bought. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just it sometimes it just magically happens when you're like I wasn't expecting that. Nobody's
Yeah.
expecting that.
Yeah.
So like that's the thing, is I feel like there's things that I'm like, I mean, you're talking about Amazing Spider-Man #1. The chances of us getting that book, the chances we ever had that book, are slim to nil, first of all. So to get it again would probably be slim to nil again. But there's are books that, you it's not that they're impossible to get, like an Action Comics #1. The chances of finding that book anywhere from anyone is slim to nil. you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
but I just don't want to tell you. I know that sucks to lose, to get rid of that shit. I mean, we've all done that through our lives. I
Yeah.
feel like, as collectors, we've bought shit, we've collected, and this is why, as adults, we buy all the shit that we buy now, because we're
That's
trying
right.
to recapture the stuff that we had. And sometimes you find stuff that's like, man, I forgot all. You come across something that you forget all about, and you're like, man, this was a pivotal point. This object, whenever you find it in the wild, I'm gonna find something. Continue to talk, because I'm gonna pull something that is like mind blowing to me, that I saw this and I'm like, this is the pivotal point of comic books for me. But
Okay.
um,
Well.
when I was a little kid, I came
Mm,
across my mom. I got these for Christmas one year,
mm.
and these things were my introduction to comic books. It was this.
Yes,
Are
I
you
remember
familiar with
those.
this?
Yeah, I'm very familiar with those. Yeah.
So seeing this was my introduction to these superheroes. You know what I'm saying? So like, I saw this on eBay for $10, and I was like, shit, I'm gonna buy it for $10. And I know it's worth nothing. The boxes beat the shit. It doesn't matter to me, because this is like, when I look at this, I'm like, this was my introduction to comic books.
Yeah, right. Something
You know,
sentimental, man. And a lot of times you can't
totally,
put a number on that for real. You're right.
totally.
Absolutely.
Totally. But I'm sorry. So it's not about me. Let's talk about you.
Oh, you're good.
No, but I wanted to get into, like I said, your approach to collecting now. Um, because you said you sold okay, let's go back up. You said you sold your collection.
I did. I sold my collection, but to answer your question, and I'll get back to that. But the way I operate now, man, is that I'm not the type of person and I've never been this type of person, man. I collect what I like,
Sure.
and I don't. If what I collect has some type of intrinsic or monetary value, fine. If not, I don't care because I love comic books and what the entertainment that they provided over the years for me. So how I collect now is more or less, it's just specific things. Like I do have a pull list where I buy new books. Although my pull list at my comic store is kind of dwindled. I still buy a few new books. As far as like anything, copper, silver age, it's just based on what I want. I'm a fan of different characters outside of, X-Men. And like, for example, I'm looking for the first appearance of the Absorbing Man because I like Crusher Creel. Um, and it's like it's more or less also tied into the X-Men. Like for example, Miss Marvel, Mystique's first appearance was in a Miss Marvel book. So I have a list of characters that appeared outside of X-Men books that I'm looking for. Silver Samurai, Sabretooth, those type of characters. So it's more methodical now than it was before
Sure.
because the things that I actually have desired, all with the exception of a few things, I've gotten them back. The New Warriors, the Guardians of the Galaxy, all those books that I sold back then, with the exception of John Size, which I will keep faith alive on that.
Of course.
Um, you
Never
know,
stop believing.
oh yeah, no, don't stop believing, right? Just like the song. But yeah, man. I'm more what's the word I'm looking for? I'm more cerebral with it now because, like I said, most of the things that I've had in my childhood, I've gotten back. So right now, it's just certain things like I was telling you before, like the books from the '70s, Marvel Team Up, What If. I'm still missing books out of that. So it's like certain series that I'm looking for now. Because to be honest with you, man, I'm really starting to shy away or to wean myself off of modern books.
I know. I
Um,
need to do that too.
yeah,
That's
so I'm doing it slowly but surely, but my focus has been to cull more of the modern book and then go for some of the stuff that I'm looking for to complete runs that I've started working on and everything. So I don't go out, man. And like I said, I'm thankful that I'm not part of that pack of comic collectors that whenever a video comes on YouTube and says you got to get this book. No, I'm good because if I didn't have it beforehand, especially if it's something inconsequential to how I collect, I didn't need it
right.
in the first place. So that's
Sure.
pretty much how I collect now. So
What are your, because we already started to talk about this. You brought it up a little bit. Let me hear your top five favorite heroes. And then we're going to do your top five favorite villains because we already know one of your villains, but who are your top favorite five heroes right now? Right
my
now.
top right now, it would be Firestorm, of course, um, Colossus. I'm a huge Colossus fan. And that's something that myself and Hialeah share because Hialeah,
I was gonna say Raul
bro,
was,
and
yeah,
that's how we kind of I mean, we hit it off
bonded.
before then, but when I found out he was a Colossus fan, I'm like, this dude is cut from the same cloth as me.
Right.
So Firestorm, Colossus, and I'm a huge fan of Shazam.
Okay.
And that was because back in the '70s there was a TV show, a live action TV show that came on and it was on CBS here. And I just remember how it came on. It came on so boisterous, chosen among all others, Solomon, Hercules, Atlas, Zeus, Achilles, Mercury. And even though, and it's crazy because even though you look back at that now, it was a very corny show. However, my fascination for that character grew from that show. And it's
Yeah.
like he's always been a mainstay in reference to one of my favorite heroes. And mind you, like I said, I don't like Superman, but I love Shazam. Go figure. So uh, Shazam, Firestorm, Colossus, Storm is another one of my favorite characters currently. And that's one of the books that I collect now. Her recent run. I've
Right.
always liked Storm as a character. And my fifth one um, it's kind of up in the air between Bishop and Icon.
Oh,
I
okay.
like Bishop. Like Bishop, I feel like Marvel didn't do enough with him or hasn't done enough with him. They had the little Messiah complex story arc and all that was kind of like putting him with Cable and stuff. But Bishop and Icon from DC are probably going to round out my top five. It's a tie for fifth for them.
So it's interesting. So now you're saying, then my next question, I guess, to follow up is, you say you're not a DC fan, but three out of your five favorite characters are DC characters.
Well, let me just say this. Okay, so
Because you
when
said you
if
weren't
I
a big DC guy. You're like I'm not a big Superman guy. I'm not a big DC guy.
well, there are exceptions to the rule when it comes down to that. Now, if you look at my comic book collection as opposed to like breaking it down, 80% of my comic book collection is Marvel because I mean
Okay.
I was like Marvel. However, throughout the years, I've learned like I said, um, and shout out to Jerry Conway, may he rest in peace. But
Yeah.
you know, Firestorm was I don't know how. I think of what it was. I saw him with the fire hair. I'm like, hold up, I like this dude. I'm just basing him off of his cover.
Yeah,
So,
dude,
you know,
Firestorm's dope as fuck. Sure. I dig him
bro,
too.
Firestorm is OP, man. He's like the molecule man of DC Comics, and he doesn't really get the respect he deserves. But
Do you
there
like
are
what
a few
they
books.
did with him in the TV shows and movies? Do you feel like he's done, or you be like, no, fuck that shit. That's not the Firestorm that I know.
Firestorm is one of those characters, man, where you have to. I feel like if you're going to utilize him, you have to utilize him in the capacity that he's actually written in the comic books. Putting him in a video game like they did in Justice or that God Awful Legends of Tomorrow, it didn't do the character justice, man. And I didn't like Legends of Tomorrow because of the fact that they butchered the Firestorm character. Like I said, you need to put him in a big budget movie, show people what he can do, and let that be it. You know, anything less, that's just like putting Batman in a TV show and just giving him a walkie talkie and a slingshot. That ain't gonna work. It's not gonna work. I mean, because Batman's a rich dude, got all these gadgets and toys and stuff. It's like, man, Batman is beating people with a slingshot. Who he think he is, David? You know what I'm saying? Like, no. No, that's not gonna work. So I mean, when you do that, man, like I said, the Firestorm thing, it sucked. Um, the Shazam, I was okay with the first Shazam movie. Second Shazam movie, I don't know. I'm gonna say this: I despise The Rock for what he did to DC when it came down to Black Adam, because I'm a fan of the Shazam lore. And
Sure.
I like the Black Adam movie, don't get me wrong, but just how he attempted to make things into Black Adam's image when it came down to the DCU and all that kind of stuff. I'm glad all that stuff came to an end. But yeah, I mean, I do like some DC characters, like I said, Firestorm, Icon. Icon came along, and that was another thing. Back in the '90s, the Milestone books, you know, Blood
Right.
Syndicate, Static. I collected those too. I got the full run of all the three of them: Icon, Blood Syndicate, and Static. Some of the books I didn't get into, but those books kind of like I gravitated towards. Um, but yeah, man, I like some DC stuff, and like I said, because of the fact that I collected those books, um, it kind
Nostalgia.
of right for nostalgia purposes. So, but yeah, that would be my top five, man, for the most part. Well, actually, top six.
What about your top five villains?
Ooh, Apocalypse. Of course, all these are X-Men villains. Magneto, um, Sabretooth. This one's gonna shock you. Doctor Doom,
Why would that shock me? Of course he's on your list. If he's
because he's
not on
not a
your list,
mutant.
I'd be. But if he's not on your somebody's list, I'd be like, why am I interviewing you again? Doomus should be on everybody's top five. Should be your number one.
Bro,
Everybody's should be number one.
I will say this, man, and I'm gonna be honest with you. I Doctor Doom, he. I'm not gonna say I never liked Doctor Doom because I thought he was a cool concept wise. He was a cool character.
Right.
I have learned, man, that aside from Magneto, Doctor Doom is probably one of the most complex villains in Marvel Comics.
Agreed. 100,000% agreed.
He is like, and the more I look into him, the more I'm like, well, dang, bro, this dude is like, I mean, it's like it's amazing to see his growth from back when he was first introduced up until now. And I
Right.
think what really got me into Doctor Doom, it was Secret Wars back in the 80s.
Sure.
And then from there, it just like everything is like his machinations for what he does is like on another level from how every other villain operates in the Marvel universe. You know what I'm saying? It's like this dude is really trying to take the powers of the Beyonder and just make himself a god. Like most villains are like, man, I'm just trying to eat, man. Where can I get a In-N-Out burger? You know what I'm saying? But Doctor Doom is like on this other level, and it's like, and the way they actually, and it's cool because I've got a few books, of course, with him being the villain, and the way they write him in terms of his arrogance and his like, yeah, I'm doomed. I'm
Right.
doomed, dude. All I need to tell you is that I'm doomed. You are
Right.
beneath me. I'm doomed, bro. Just that's all you need to. That's all you need to know. And I love that, man. So I have, as of lately, I've been getting into some of the modern Doom. So yeah, Doctor Doom is one of my favorite villains, and that's been like within the last few years. Um, How many was that? It's Apocalypse, Doom, Magneto, Sabretooth. Oh yeah. My favorite X-Men villain of all time is the Juggernaut. Can't really
Okay.
call him a villain now, but at one point, he was a big mainstay in terms of villainy when it came down to the X-Men. But yeah, I'm gonna put him in that category now. But yeah, the Juggernaut.
I love Juggernaut too, dude. He's like seeing just watching him and Colossus or him fight Hulk or dude that Thor first appearance of New Warriors book, dude. That seeing them fight and throwing him through the train and this and that, I was
Right.
like, bro, like, dude, that dude, that was my introduction. Like, I bought that. I'm a big fan of two powerhouses just pouncing on each other. And I
Oh
remember
yeah.
when that Thor book came out with the first appearance of New Warriors and with Juggernaut on it, and the Juggernaut's fist in the corner, and this and that, and then that whole those two issues, and I was like, bro, like that was really what got me into Juggernaut were those two issues in particular. That first Prince of
Yeah.
New Warriors, that
Yeah.
was, I mean, I liked Juggernaut before, but seeing those two, I was like, hell yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Hell
Man,
yeah.
I love the Juggernaut, man, and it all. Of course, it comes from me and the X-Men and stuff. Because at one point, man, you wouldn't see when you saw the Juggernaut, it was more than likely him and Colossus like beating each other up. You
Right.
know, so it's like, yeah, my favorite X-Men hero is getting pummeled by my favorite X-Men villain. I'm all in.
Right.
I'm all in. I don't know who to root for. Like it's gonna be one or the other. So yeah. Yeah, that would be my top five as far as villains.
Nice. Those are, I mean, Magneto. How would you feel about Magneto getting his own film? Do you think he needs his own film?
If he needs his own film, but be honest with you, if they were to do solo like MCU like mutant movies, I think he deserves one. Because aside from Doctor Doom, he's probably one of the most conflicted and complicated villains in
Sure.
mutant. You know, and I like
And
characters.
mutinism.
Mutanism. That's right. That's a good one. Mutanism. Yeah. But yeah, man, yeah, I feel like if they were to go that route, of course, yeah, I'd love to see it, and they stick to their guns in terms of, his background is, everything. I'm good with it. I'd go see it day one.
Was that okay? Here's a question I've never asked anyone. Now that we're talking about this, it just brings up another question to start asking people. If there's a movie, a superhero movie, I know I'm putting you on the spot here because
You're
I didn't
fine.
pre question you this, but if there's a character that you want to see a movie of, whether it's been done or not, is there a character you like? Man, they need to do a movie in this mother effort, and like we need to get this cat to play him. Is there anything that you've ever thought about like that? Like, man, they need to do a good so and so. Who is it and what? And if you could think of an actor off the top of your head, fine. If not, it's fine. But I'm interested in knowing like that.
Honestly, man, I've always, because there were rumors going around, and I know this might be like in left field, but I wouldn't mind seeing a Nova movie.
Okay,
And as far as actor, not really put any thought into it. But I think because Marvel, the MCU, they entertained the whole galaxy space, Guardians and all that kind of stuff. I thought that Nova would be a really good, you know, piece of the puzzle when it came down to that.
sure.
Now Solo X-Men, I mean, of course, a Colossus movie, but they're not going to do a Colossus movie.
Yeah, yeah,
But yeah, I think Nova would have a little legs to. I mean, because you got everything, the Kree, the Scroll, you got the Brood, you got all that stuff that they can actually work off of. And then if they decide to do another version of Guardians, then you got that to play around with. Plus he can actually segue into the X-Men universe when it comes down to the Shi'ar Empire. So it's a lot of working pieces that they can work
right.
with when it comes down to Nova. So, what's up, Chicago?
Chicago Schultz, watching. What would you? What was I going to ask you? What was? Shit, I forgot my question now. You were saying something, and I was like, oh, that's another good. Oh, Kevin Feige, yay or nay? Do you feel like overall the MCU since he's been involved in it has been good, bad, or you're like he had good? I know he's done bad. He's done this. I mean, it's. I try to explain this. I'm like, dude, the MCU is basically like MGM or any other company. All these things are so different. You can't just say, "Oh, I'm sick of Marvel stuff." It's like, bro, there's so much different Marvel stuff out there. Just what you're into. So I'm like, but do you feel like overall the company of the world, the universe that Kevin Feige is putting together and doing, do you feel like he's doing a good job, or do you feel like he needs help?
Well, okay. So to answer your first question, overall, I think Kevin Feige has done well. And the way I try to explain the situation to those who are not comic book readers, there's always going to be peaks and valleys in comic books.
Of
You
course.
you read a series, man, and that series is, it could be like, man, I can't wait to read these next few issues. But then they reboot the series back to number one, and another writer gets put on the book, and it's like, bro, this is some really hot garbage that I'm reading. So,
Right.
and I mean, any comic book reader that's had their in the trenches knows this. So I
Sure.
equate the MCU to comic books. It's like, bro, you can't be riding high
Right. You can't
and
stay
think
up
you
here
on a
forever.
exactly. We're gonna
Right.
take you on a love ride. We're riding high. So it's not gonna be that. There's gonna be some peaks, there's gonna be some valleys. Overall, I think he's done a good job. Now,
I would
your
agree.
second question, yeah, I would think that he needs some help, meaning that I feel like they might want to bring in, even though they laid off a bunch of folks, but I think they need to bring in some more creative minds from the perspective of comic books, kind of like what's his face that did the Guardians of the Galaxy. He's over in DC now. I cannot
Gunn,
remember his name.
James
Yeah,
Gunn.
James Gunn, right. Because I feel like when you have people that have a love for the source material and you bring them on, I think they can add a fresh perspective to what you're trying to do.
Of course.
Not only that, but I think the selection of characters moving forward, they need to, I think, be more selective in terms of what they do. Because although I love Guardians back in the day, I wasn't really familiar with the updated Guardians that they did for the movie. However,
Right.
it paid off for them. I think they need to take more risk, calculated risk when it comes down to that. And I think Feige needs to focus a lot on the television side of things because I don't know if you watched the Daredevil season 2, Born Again.
I know you're talking about that. I saw your little video. You were talking about
Man,
that.
man, it was jam up, to me. So I think that television's, is kind of sorely it's a venue or a media that I think they're going to be working on it a lot more. Um, One thing I will say though, Pete, is that the caveat to all of that is that when we see certain things happen, like for example, WandaVision came out like maybe 5 years ago, something like that. I can't
Right.
remember.
Well,
And
probably
now
right.
they're
Yeah.
so what now?
I was just thinking, I'm like, when did that come out? Was that pandemic or just after the pandemic?
I think it came out just after the pandemic. It was either 2021 or 2022.
Okay.
So you have a situation where you have too much time, I feel, between, because what was supposed to spawn out of WandaVision was Vision Quest.
Right.
Vision Quest is, I think, coming out next year. So there's a lot of time, and I get it. You got budgets, you got people schedules. These folks aren't on your beck and call, but I think that kind of like shoots them in the foot when it comes down to just being continuous, the continuity and stuff. But
Right.
overall, man, I think Kevin Feige has done a pretty good job,
I
from
agree.
phase one up until now. I think a lot of times when you're dealing with social media, especially, man, you have people that, and I said this about Daredevil because a lot of people were talking about how slow Daredevil was, and it's like people have this instant microwave popcorn mentality when it comes down to a lot of stuff. They want to see the big explosions. They want to see this. They want to see that. And it's not, you can't have that all the time. There's
Why?
certain things
Why can't
because,
we?
okay, all right. So the reason why I feel that way is because there has to be story told.
No, you're
We
right.
can see Cyclops, blast people in the chest like for a whole hour, and then you have to turn around and ask yourself, well, why did he do all of that? Yeah, we got the action, but what was the whys and the whats and the wins and the
Well,
who's?
I, that's how I feel about Deadpool Wolverine movie. It's all fan service, not much else. It
Right,
just gives it's I somebody said this and I don't remember, and I've said this repeated times too. Like, Deadpool Wolverine, is it fun? Yes, but it's clickbait, it's Instagram reels, constant. It's just cool thing after cool, like, oh, cool, 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 cool. But watching the movie, I'm like, going back and watching the second movie a second time, I'm like, it's not good. It's not a good movie. It's a lot of fan service, which is cool. But it's like, you could have done this on Reels on Instagram, and I would have been sharing them, and you could have gotten just as much press on people sharing these cool clips that you did.
agree. I agree. Deadpool versus Wolverine is one of those movies you watch like every leap year. I mean, I found it very entertaining when I saw it in the movie. And like you said, that movie, they should have just called it the fan service movie because, I
Right. Because
mean,
that's really what it was.
everyone.
Because the first one was so good because it had everything.
Right,
Then the second one, it had all that, but then they started leaning into the fan service, and they're like, let's just give all the fan service. Then the third
yeah,
one, and forget about what we got from the first and second one. It was kind of like, oh, come on, like, we need. I would have rather seen a little bit more of two and three, part two and part three. You know what I'm saying? A
right,
little bit more storyline. And I know some people didn't like it, but I liked it. I like seeing Domino. I like seeing Cable, Juggernaut. I mean, I loved all of that, because it was giving me the fan service. It also gave me some type of story.
right.
So, yeah. So I agree. I don't know where I was agreeing with, but I was agreeing with you there.
Yeah, man. I like I said, I saw Deadpool and Wolverine, and I'm like, it was a fun movie. It's not one of those movies that, like I said, I would go. It's not a a, a Winter Soldier. You
Right,
know, I watched that movie on repeat. You know,
right.
and it was a fun movie. I think I had an alt with that movie because they just Colossus. I don't know what happened to him. Maybe he was working at Jersey Mike's or something. They they just like my boy. Like I was the whole movie. I'm thinking, man, where is no? Where he was? No, was he in the? See,
He
that's
was in
how.
the birthday scene. And that's what I said. The movie's so forgettable. There's so much forgettable. I talk to people about this. I'm like, who's the villain in that movie? You barely even remember who the villain was. It
Right,
was Professor X's bald sister,
sister
whoever.
Cassandra
Yeah,
Nova. Yeah, and
yeah.
it's
And I
like,
was like, she was very forgettable
yep,
because you're too busy watching the cool things happen. Him on the cross, Lil Wolverine,
yep,
the fight scene in the car. You're too busy watching all this other stuff where you kind of forget about everything else, that the what the the movie. You're just seeing
Hmm.
cool shit happen.
Yep, exactly. And I, that's crazy because I remember him vividly in the first and the second movie, but I forgot he was even in the movie. And you're right, he was in the birthday scene. I'm like, why isn't he fighting? Like he's just I know he's a pacifist in the comic book, but I mean, come on, bro. You got this big 7 foot tall metallic dude, and he's just eating birthday cake and stuff while this stuff's going on. Whatever, man. But yeah, I agree
No.
with you on that. But yeah, man, it's as far as it goes, I think like I said, I think Feige's done a pretty good job. So
So let's break this down. So give me your. We're gonna go into. We're gonna change the tone a little bit. I want to see your top three books in your collection. Did you pull those? Did you ever get those pulled?
I did. And
Nice.
I would have to say I pulled several. And the first one, this is my very first Silver Age X-Men that I bought. And I actually bought this raw.
That's first appearance of Juggernaut. Correct. I can't
Yeah.
see. I got all
No,
the
this
writing
is
on. I got all the writing on front of the book. I can't see the
it's
book.
it's actually
Everybody's comments.
it's X-Men #2.
Oh,
Um
okay.
it's the
Okay.
first appearance of the Vanisher. Of
Okay.
course, the second appearance of the whole team.
Right.
And I bought this like in 2016, 2017. And
Wow.
like I said, I bought
Did
it raw.
I was gonna ask you, did
And
you buy it raw? Okay.
yeah, I did. And shout out to Stone Cold Steve because he actually got it pressed and clean for me.
Of course he
And
did. Of
yeah, I
course he
brought
did.
yeah, yeah. I brought it up to Heroes Con that year that I met you. And he took it back down to Florida and got a buddy of his to actually, clean it up. And
Yeah.
it's great condition, man. So this was probably one of my crowning moments in my collection just to have the second X-Men book from the run, So
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
the next one has to be
You got to see it. Like I said, I got all this writing. Everybody's, I can't see shit, but go ahead. Just talk
it's
about it. I'm looking
X-Men
at it.
12. It's X-Men 12, first Juggernaut.
Oh, that is for Juggernaut. Okay.
Yeah, first
Okay.
Juggernaut. I got another copy, but it's beat the hell up. But this is my better copy. So yeah, it's the first
How do you
book.
feel about CGC? Do you want to get, are you interested in getting that book rated or do you not give a shit?
Well, at this point, I'm probably going to keep it raw. My goal, though, one of my goals as far as my X-Men run, I'm actually 2 books now because Stone Cold actually AOK'd me #3, and that dude is amazing,
SOB.
man.
Not SOB.
But that's
I
great.
told him, I asked him, you gonna come do this with me? He goes, hell yeah. And I was like, okay, we're gonna do one together because he's the goat in the community, dude.
Dude, man, him and like you met him for the first time a few weeks ago, but Rob G man, he's
Yeah.
up there. He's not as active as he used to be, but him and oh my God, bro, it's amazing. Those guys are literally amazing guys, man. This is X-Men 14,
First
yeah,
Sentinel,
the
correct?
first Sentinel,
Right.
and
I see his arm. I recognize the cover just based off his little hand.
yeah, and I forgot this one. This one is X-Men 4.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, the first
Nice.
Brotherhood of the
Yep.
Evil Mutants. This I got up at Heroes Con that year.
I do
So
remember you picking that up there that
yeah.
year. Are you
Uh-huh.
going to Heroes Con this year? Oh, that just happened. So
No,
did you not? You didn't go this year because I didn't go either,
I didn't
obviously.
go last year. I had to actually back out, man, because of some issues. You know, life is lifing and everything. So
Right.
but
Do you
nah,
got
unfortunately. Say what
do you
now?
got any show? Do you got any shows you're going to this year coming up that you want to go that you're looking forward to going to?
Now down here they have this quarterly sale. It's not really a con, but it's a lot of vendors get together up in Atlanta and they
Okay.
um they actually sell books. And no, for that, not for that, probably not, except for those stores. Now, I'm hoping that we can actually come down to Florida in October when you come down. If that's still going to happen. Um,
I'm coming down to Tampa in
okay.
October.
Okay. Yeah.
Me and Chicago Schultz. Have you met Chicago Schultz?
I have never met Chicago, and that's one of the you asked one of the questions as far as somebody that I know I might be skipping, jumping the gun, but
No, you're fine.
three of the people that I wanted to meet, he's one of them.
But
So
he's coming with me. It's him and
okay,
I. So we're gonna be hanging out in Tampa for a weekend. So
okay,
hopefully you come out to that for
cool,
that
yeah,
weekend.
man. Hopefully we can get down there, man, because well, I've been down there one time. That's when G Man came from Minnesota or Wisconsin down, and that's when I met all Stone Cold them and Highly in person and all, and some good dudes, man. Some really good dudes, some
Yeah, dude.
outstanding dudes, man. So yeah, but yeah, hopefully I can meet Chicago in October.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Um Continue. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, you're
Continue
good.
showing off. Continue showing off your books. I'd like to see your books because as you said
Okay,
you had a couple more pulled. So
I
keep
did.
showing.
I got X-Men
First
28
Banshee. For
First
Sean
Man.
Cassidy.
Yep, Sean Cassidy. He used to be one of my favorites, and then X-Men, the book just stopped just doing stuff with him. X-Men 19
Mimic.
Mimic.
My Mimic. I love Mimic.
Yeah,
I got a
Mimic.
book. I got that book graded too. I don't know why. There's something about that book that I'm like, I don't know why that cover attracted me, but I had to
Yeah.
get it. I had to get that book. Yeah,
Oh
that's a
yeah,
hot book.
most definitely. And then I got this one. This is a first Master Mold.
Oh,
X-Men
nice.
15. Yep. And then this is an AOK that Steve got me. And this is X-Men 10.
Oh, nice. Is that the
Yeah.
Kazar one? I
Yep.
can't see it.
Kazar.
Okay. I'm just
Now,
guessing. I'm like looking through weeds, looking at those covers.
right. Now this is hold on, where is that book? Okay, so this is a book you have, and please forgive me if I'm jumping the gun again, but you had a
No,
question about the most important book. I think that's how
sure.
the question was framed. It has to
Yeah.
be this one.
Oh, yeah. That's that. I read that on an airplane again not too long ago. I did a road trip. I read that. Yeah.
Yeah, this is one of the books that kind of cemented my love for the X-Men.
Agreed.
And this is I read this book at least once a year. But yeah, those are all I put. I mean, I can pull some more stuff, but let's see. And like I was telling you
you
before, go ahead. I'm sorry.
we didn't even. I know we. I asked the question that we got off track, which normally happens here. That's yeah.
Yeah, one. This is one of my favorites, man. Like, yeah, I want this on a T-shirt. Yep,
That green dude and the yellow, the combo of that
bro. It's the
is
Raincoat, man.
sick, dude.
It's amazing, man.
Dude,
During this time frame,
his color compositions for his books, dude. Like that's really what I think sets his books apart. Is
yeah,
he puts these color combos together that just like yeah,
it made
solid,
it pop for
solid.
real, for real.
Those shield covers, all that stuff, dude. The color combos is really what he kills at.
Yeah,
But we
I
didn't
have a
talk
few.
about your favorite villains. We you said Absorbing Man, but we didn't
Well,
talk about your favorite villains.
Wu,
Magneto,
Magneto,
Apocalypse.
Apocalypse, Sabretooth,
Oh, you did tell me them all. That's right, you did.
Doctor Doom, and who was the other one? You got me thinking hard, man.
We stopped at Doom. That's where it stopped at.
Okay, yeah. So I would, I mean, I'd have to throw Crusher Creel in there, Absorbing Man. So, but yeah, I'm
Bob.
looking, and I have a few of the Strange Tales book with the Raincoat. I do want that one that has Nick Fury with the black and white checkerboard and stuff. I love that cover, man. That is an awesome cover. But it's Blob right here, and oops, first
Oh,
is X
nice.
Men 9. Yeah, this is another Steve Whiting production here.
Was
Um,
that the first time X-Men and Avengers got together in a book?
yep, that's the
That's what I
first
thought.
time
That
they
the
actually
meeting of
met
them.
each other. Uh-huh. Yep.
That's what I figured.
So, but yeah, man, as far as it goes, Uncanny, I'm only two books shy of having that full run from 1 to 544.
Okay.
So yeah,
Are
but
those your
yeah.
so what are the top three books you're on the hunt for? So it's those X-Men are those X-Men books on the
Um,
top three?
yeah, well, X-Men 3, and like I said, that's already, it's just a matter of when Steve sends that to me. X-Men number 1, of course, that's the granddaddy of them all, and John Size. So those are like on the top of my list because once I get those, like I said, I have 1 through 44 complete, the reprints and everything.
Wow.
So yeah, I man, when I say man, even the some of those Silver Age books, man, the stories were like ugh. But just because it's X Men lore, some of them are good. Like the one with Polaris on it, that's a pretty good read. Now, granted, most of these I've not taken out of the bag because
Thanks.
I'll just read them online. But
Right.
yeah, those two, X-Men one, John Size X-Men, and the other one would actually be the first, where not Werewolf by Night, but Tomb of Dracula 10.
Well, first person blade. Right.
Yep, Tomb of Dracula 10. So those like on the top, tippy top of my list as far as books that I want to get.
Nice.
X-Men one, if I win the lottery, is probably going to be the last book I get because I think, like what you were saying earlier about John Size, I think I could get my hands on a John Size of me before I get X-Men one. But hey, the universe works in its mysterious
It
ways, so
sure
who
as hell
knows? So
does. It sure as hell does. That's why I tell
yeah,
don't give up on your dreams. Don't give up on your dreams.
oh yeah, most definitely, most definitely.
um I'm gonna ask you one more pretty much question. I know you kind of answered a bunch of them. I didn't want this video to go on for 3 hours because I know you and I could sit here and talk all day.
Yeah, oh
and
yeah.
we can. And like I said, that's the good thing about doing these is like, I would like to eventually get people back on again if you enjoyed doing it, if you wanted to do it again. And like I said, I'm trying to get my YouTube thing going together. So this is
Oh
gonna
yeah.
go on YouTube also. So people don't want to watch it here, they can watch it on YouTube also. But
Hmm.
what is your because I know you've been to quite a few conventions through your life now. Do you like the where conventions are going? Do you feel like they're have you ever what's your thoughts on cosplay, all that stuff? Let's quickly talk about the convention scene and your take on that. How do you feel about that?
I think the convention scene is going the way it should. I mean, you have conventions that are geared towards us as comic collectors. You have conventions that are geared towards the cosplayers and those that are in the anime, which I'm into as well, but anime and manga. And then you have cons out there that are just strictly for pomp and circumstance, like the con out in California,
Right.
which is basically just like a celebrity con now.
Right.
They do have a smattering, and I know a guy that actually went to what is the name of that con? It just it's so I don't even think about it. But the big one out there on the West Coast, he told me that basically it was just nothing but people trying to get in. What is it? Not Department H, but whatever that room is that they do all the
Movie drop shit and all that
the
stuff.
movie trailers and all that kind of stuff. For the most part, a lot of the vendors out there, they're overpriced, which is apparent. I mean, the venue that you're dealing with. So I mean, it's like a mixture, man. It's kind of like going to a buffet almost. I'm more inclined to go to stuff like Heroes Con. There's one in Baltimore that I keep hearing about. They said was pretty
I'm
good
going.
too.
I'm
You
going this
going?
year. I'm
Okay,
going this
cool
year.
bean.
I got three
Yeah.
shows I'm going to this year, and that's one
Mm-hmm.
of them. I'm going to Boston next week or 2 weeks. I'm going to check out the Boston one. I I know a person of a person who's put that show on, so I'm like, you know what? I want to go hit it. I'm gonna do Connecticut, and we're
Mm,
gonna do, which is Terrificon, because I didn't
okay.
go to Heroes Con, and I heard Terrificon's supposed to be like a Heroes Con, where it's supposed to be a lot of comic book heavy centric.
Mm,
And then Baltimore.
okay.
Um, but
Now
go ahead.
I've heard some good things about C2E2. You'll have to hit me up on that.
Well, that's the other thing I was gonna say. I think Raul and Steve and Puff, they all want to come out to C2E2 this year. This coming up, not in 2026. So
Mm,
if you are 20, yeah, whenever C2E2 is, not the one that just passed, obviously, but the one that's coming up next year. So if you
okay.
want to come out for that, save up, and like I said, we can. I mean, I want to make that a. I want to make that a blowout. C2E2, to be honest with you, is not really my cup of tea personally.
Mm,
It's not. It's a lot of everything but comic books. You know what I'm saying? But you're into other things other than comics. There's a lot of anime stuff there. There's a lot of other stuff there. And I want to hang out with everybody, and I want everyone to come to my town and hang out with me too sometimes. So I think I would love it if you would come out to that show, and I can introduce you to all the people that I know out here and stuff like that. Because of the Florida crew, I'm trying to put together that community here in
yeah.
Chicago, and I'm meeting those people. I'm finding the people that are like the Florida guys. So it's awesome. So I'll let you know. We'll put that in the. I'll let you know the dates of that, and like I said, we'll put you in the chat of that if that's something you want to get involved in and
Oh
coming
yeah,
out for
most definitely.
C2E2. I
Yeah.
think would be because if everybody's coming out, man, you should totally come out for that. That would be incredibly cool.
Yeah. Well, throw my name in the hat, man, because I
For
love to
sure.
come up, man. Because when we all hung out at Heroes Con, man, I think that aspect of us being able to fellowship together was, I mean, the con was good. Don't get me wrong, but just hanging around with y'all
I
guys,
think that
man.
house, dude, I'm glad we did that house. That
Yeah.
house was such a good. I mean, like, what a great idea. And I'm like, because we were talking about that, and I was like, why don't we try to get a house to host everybody? Because I think, I mean, I know it wasn't always comfortable for everybody. Not everybody was the most comfortable, and this and that. But I thought the house idea was fun because that is like Raul says, this is the best part. This is the best part is hanging out and showing off what we got and talking
Yep.
and watching
Yep.
TV and just doing all the shit that we were doing. That was the best part of the trip.
Bro, it was apt for me. It was, man, because at that point I was going through, because well, you probably don't, well, yeah, you probably know, but during that time I was going through my cancer treatment and stuff, and I just got out of having surgery to remove a mass for my colon cancer,
Right.
and getting to Heroes Con and seeing all of y'all and meeting you for the first time, and others that I hadn't met when I came down to Florida. Me, myself and Matt from the Comic Call crew. It was amazing, man. And just people getting together, having a shared interest. I didn't think anything of coming over there, man, and hanging out with y'all. And I was telling the fellas that came up from Georgia, I'm like, man, we should have got the house next to them. Like we should just had a huge blowout.
Well,
I mean,
that's
I
what I
know.
want to do. Like I said, next time we can go out to Heroes, if we can, I'd like to, like I said, we're going to do Terrificon this year. Next year, I wasn't able to do, oh, Heroes Con's coming up in 2 weeks, I think, or a
Yeah,
couple weeks. Because it's the
about three
weekend
weeks.
of, I couldn't go because I have my nephew's graduation. That's graduation weekend. So that's the reason
Hmm.
why I'm not going this year. But I was like, next year, I would like to, we need to make that happen again. I think that was such a good time. And I'm like, we should try to put together that group and get another house. It's not that same house. That house was with the pool table and all that stuff. It was pretty dope,
Hey
you
man,
know.
if that theater room was working, man, that would probably like that would have been the ultimate place right there, man. Because
Right.
I mean, it was still great the way it went, but yeah, that was whoever actually picked that house.
I think it was Steve that picked the house. I think Steve found the house, if I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken. Because it was Steve and I kind of working, pointing out back and forth. Like I told everyone, like, make sure we have enough bathrooms. That's just something that I'm like, when you're staying with a group of dudes, I'm
yeah,
like, You can't have one bathroom. You can't have two. You need at least three
At
bathrooms
least
plus,
you're right.
especially when everybody wakes up in the morning and is like, oh, we got to
Yep.
go destroy shit. You're like, oh, man. That was the one thing I told people. I was like, make sure we get enough bathrooms, beds and bathrooms. Like that's a hugely important thing when people are staying together. And I think people forget about that. But the bathroom thing is a hugely important thing.
Most definitely. Yeah. Most definitely. But yeah, man. I
um,
mean, like I said, when it comes down to the cons, man, I think cons are. I mean, at their crux, cons are pretty much what they are supposed to be for the people that they are for. We had a con that actually started pretty good here in Georgia, up in Atlanta, called the Atlanta Comic Convention, and we went the first year. It was a small. It was at the Georgia World Congress Center, which is a huge like venue, and it was pretty good for what it was. But then over time, it became more of a celebrity type thing because at the time they were filming The Walking Dead here,
oh,
and
right.
yeah, they started getting people from The Walking Dead to come, and then they started focusing more on the media aspect, and then they started opening it up with the anime. Again, I don't have a problem with the anime. I feel like if a comic convention is a comic convention, it should be a comic convention, and if they add-ons like cosplay and all that, like Heroes Con did, I have no problems with it. I mean, the only other problem I would have is if you got vendors in there trying to charge $200 for Darkhawk #1 and stuff. But other than that, I think conventions have their place, and I think at this point, the conventions that actually suit comic collectors, people know, who they are and where to go and stuff. So yeah.
Have you ever done a cosplay? Have you ever considered doing a cosplay if you've never done one?
I have considered doing. I've never done one, but I have considered doing one. Now I'm a huge fan of this this manga and anime called One Piece, and I love
Okay.
it. And there's this guy. His name is Jinbei. He's a fish man. He's a bigger guy. And me, I'm a bigger guy. I can actually cosplay him, but I'd have to paint my face blue and put things in my mouth, which I don't have a problem doing. The only thing that I don't want to do is shave my beard because I'm trying to grow my beard out. So I think I would have to shave my beard to do it. But I think if I had the opportunity to do it, I would.
Yeah.
I would do it, most
Well, you have
definitely.
the opportunity. You just got to do it. But that's okay. Like, I get it. Like I said, I did it a couple times. I'm not gonna lie. It's kind of a pain in the ass. It's it's fun. It's fun. Don't get me wrong. But it's a lot of work, man. Like
Yeah.
you need to condone if you're gonna do a convention, that can't be your only day to do it.
Right.
Like you can't
Right.
you it's hard to be because you're going for comic books like myself. I when you go to these conventions, the only reason why I started doing it is because I'm there for 3 days, and I'm like,
Hmm.
when I go, I'm like, the shows aren't that big to be walking around. I mean, unless you're digging through dollar book after dollar book after
Right.
like three
Right.
days of that is a lot of doing
Yeah.
that.
I can
So I
imagine.
was like, oh, the one cosplay day would be kind of fun just to do it, and I did it, and but it was like it's exhausting. It's
Yeah.
very exhausting doing it. And it's like it's the thing, and seeing people walk around in those costumes all day is as of doing it. And I thought I had a pretty easy one, but like I did Snake Eyes, I did Vigilante, and it's the boots, it's the walk, and these things. You're like, man, my dogs are barking after that.
You know
But
what?
it is fun.
When you said vigilante, and first the first character that came to mind was Doom. That you would have actually done a cos. You ever thought about doing Doom as cosplay?
You know, I, I'm it's putting together the costume and doing it. Like I want, if I'm gonna do something, I want to do it right. I want
Right.
people to look
Right.
at it and be like, "Oh!"
Yeah.
And I did the vigilante costume, and I had help. Somebody helped me do the vigilante costume. I had someone do some sewing and doing some stuff, and it looks pretty. And I did it the original '80s comic run. I didn't do the
Right.
TV version. I did the comic run, and I really wanted it. And I felt it was a pretty decent costume for the amount of money that I put into it, which wasn't a lot. I
Mm,
felt that it was a pretty, and that's the thing is like I have a Doom mask, but then when you're buying aspects of it and putting on, it kind of like I really appreciate the people who put the work into making those costumes. And you're looking at like seeing someone do a badass Apocalypse or Doctor
right,
Octopus, where they're really putting together the arms and they're doing something amazing. You're like, bro, you really put energy in it. Like
right.
I didn't want to put that much energy into it, to be honest with you. Like like I said, it's the hauling around of the costumes and wearing the stuff all day.
Yeah,
It gets I there's enough people to do Doom. There's a lot of people who do Killer Doom.
yeah.
I
I
don't
got
need
you.
and I'm in it like when I take pictures of people doing cosplay, because I don't take a lot of pictures of cosplay people. I do pictures of people who either are my favorite characters and they're doing something that like when I saw somebody do a Plastic Man or a Forbish Man, someone like weird off the beaten path, I'm like,
Yeah,
that's that's worth a photo for me to take because you're doing something that not everybody thought of or somebody like off the beaten path. I like those kind of cosplays, the people that are doing off the beaten path characters or something that somebody did a costume where you're like just
well,
mind
mind
blown.
blown. Yeah, yeah, I get you. Yeah, I
That's
saw it.
that's just me. That's me and my factor on cosplay. Like people do Spider Man, yeah. Deadpool, yeah. Harley Quinn, yeah. We've seen those a lot. I'm not saying that there's not good ones, but I'm not as impressed with that as I am the guy who did Forbish Man. Like
Yeah,
putting the pot on his head and like I'm like looking at that. I was like, this dude's a nerd. Or someone doing a
right,
Howard
right,
the Duck cosplay or something like that. I'm like, that's
right.
awesome. It's just something that you know that person's doing it because they really are like, I'm obsessed with this character and I really want to do something that's off the beaten path. And so I'll tell you what, dude, when I did the vigilante,
Hmm.
the amount of compliments I got from that costume, and it was even though it was people coming up to me and being like, and I'll tell you who gave me a lot of compliments. It was old black dudes gave me the most compliments on the vigilante costume. It was people like vigilante, like man, that is awesome, and
Yeah,
that made me feel great. That people were recognizing they're like you're not doing the peacemaker one, you're doing the OG one,
right.
and it was funny because it was majority of the people that were complimenting me were over 50 black dudes that were doing it. And I love that. And I was like, because Vigilante was one of those characters that I was digging through the 25-cent bins,
Yep.
pulling across, and I dug him, and that's what attracted me to him. And I feel like he was just the 25 cent. And it's when I say it was dudes over 50, because that's who was digging through 25-cent bins. Because at that time we had 25-cent bins. They weren't dollar bins, they were 25-cent bins,
Right.
and it was just super cool to have people my age understanding that and getting that. And I was like, I love that. I just love that. And even the snake eyes thing was fun because I didn't have to talk, which was really nice. Because kids
Yeah.
would come up and I had like a little stuffed timber next to me and I'd put it on the kids' shoulders and this and that and make the kids happy. And kids would be asking me questions and I'd be like, and then the dads would be like, he doesn't talk. He doesn't talk. So it was
Yeah.
cool doing that kind of costume because I was like, oh, this is the costume. I don't even have to say anything. I put a mask on
Right.
and you have no idea who I am behind that costume. So
Yeah.
that's one of the things when people talk about loving Spider Man, growing up loving Spider Man, which you never even mentioned Spider Man. Spider Man is not your jam. Huh? He was never a
Like
character that.
I like him, but I mean, he's never been like a focal point in my collecting. So, like I said, man, when I got laser focused on the X-Men, like
Well, that
everybody
was
else
one
was
of my
like,
questions. I was going to say Spider-Man X-Men. I didn't even have to ask that question because I'm like, I don't have to
no,
ask that
no.
question. He already knows. The same thing with the Marvel. Listen, I asked questions. I gave you the questions to prep you, but I'm like, I don't have to ask them all. He's going to answer them regardless, or he won't, and it's fine. You know what I'm saying? I
Yeah.
just wanted to give you a brief synopsis of questions so you weren't like,
Oh, you're
let
good.
me see.
Yeah. But man,
but
I was ready. I was ready. So yeah. Spider-Man,
uh,
you cool, but X-Men, yeah.
yeah, no, I hear you. Uh, do you have any final thoughts? Any plugs you wanna? Do you want to plug anything? I know you have a YouTube show you do, so I would like you to plug that and all your stuff that you plug. So plug away, my friend.
Thank you, sir. Well, first and foremost, if you're watching this on Instagram or if you're watching this on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe to Pete's Vibes. Um, he's a cool dude. He loves what he does. He has an awesome basement. It's like an adult Toys R Us for comic books and stuff, you know. So do that first and foremost. I actually participate on two channels. My own channel, which is Everything According to Al, which I actually gave you a shout out and I linked your channel on my
Oh,
page
nice.
to yours. So my channel is Everything According to Al. I'm a Gen X dude. I talk about a whole bunch of crap. Um, we're talking about comic books. I'm into video games and all that good stuff. Um, we do a live stream, which we should be doing later on, called Silver Age Sunday, around 1:35 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I'm also on another channel, which I actually linked your channel page to that channel. It's called Comic Call Crew. We just had a live stream last night about gatekeeping and the Pokemon craze that's going on and stuff. So it's called the Comic Call Crew. So yeah, subscribe to both of those channels, Everything According to Al and the Comic Call Crew. And I am on Instagram under Dusty Brick Brown. I post, but I don't post a lot of stuff, but I do post. So if you want to
You
follow
do
me
more
there,
YouTube stuff than Instagram stuff, I
yeah,
noticed.
I do. I like the aspect of content creating, man, because it takes my mind off of a lot of stuff, and it gives me the freedom to just express myself in a way that I don't think I could do on Instagram. I mean, yeah, we could post, but just like this, with you actually doing the interviews on Instagram and then having it on YouTube, I feel like there's a wider audience on YouTube,
Sure.
and
No, there is.
as far as it goes, you're doing the Lord's work when it comes down to this, man, because this is a really cool concept to just interview people from the comic book community. Because I watched your show with Schultze, and I'm gonna be honest with you, man. That's the first time I had ever. If you're watching Schultze, please forgive me, but I had never seen Schultze's face prior to watching that interview. I'm like, oh, that's Schultze. Okay. So putting name to
Right.
face is pretty cool, because it was
That's what I
kind of like,
wanted.
kind of like how it was when I met Steve and Raul and all them cats. Like, okay, so this is this dude that I see on Instagram on Puff's channel, shout out to Sean. But yeah, man, that's pretty much it. Ain't nothing else to say.
I mean, as not. I mean, you've been on YouTube. I'm new to doing YouTube. I'm trying to build up my following and this and that. Um, I mean, people haven't done this before. Just interviewing just random people.
I think so. Well, now G Man, his channel is called the Comic Book G Spot. But at one point, man, he was doing it, and he was bringing people in from the comic book community, and he had a really good format when it came down to it. But he's got some stuff going on, so he hasn't really been focusing on his
Doing it.
channel like that, right? So you're pretty much kind of like filling in the gap for that type
Okay.
of thing, which is always a good thing. Because man, I'm gonna be real with you, Sean and Hialeah and Jeff and Jace, Sean's brother, and I'm missing a few people. Boat right, the Florida crew. I would have never gotten in contact or known them if it wasn't for Sean.
Yep. I know.
The Comic Call Crew channel that I was telling you about, he was actually a subscriber. We've been on YouTube with that channel for like almost 8 years. But
Wow.
but yeah, he was a subscriber to that channel. I didn't even know Sean. And he would come in and we would do live streams on Saturdays and he would comment and all that kind of stuff. And we finally linked up on Instagram. And then, he had his own channel. He's kind of like falling back on that. and he would do this show called Chat with the Comic Community on Saturdays, where it was just like the Silver Age Sunday, where people, comic book folks, would get on, and we would just chew the fat and all that kind of stuff. And that, one thing led to another, man, and that led me to the guy G-Man, which is a really, really cool guy, and then other people all over California, Wisconsin, Texas. And it was a beautiful thing because even though I have friends here in Georgia that collect comic books, it was good to see other people from different states that were
Right.
like-minded, that were really cool, down to earth, that had the same interests. Because just like I do, man, if you, like, for example, you're into comic books, and I'm sure there's someone that you probably met that has a vested interest in tattoos or a vested interest in music. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
typically certain hobbies intersect with others. And it's
Sure.
always good to see that happen, because sometimes you could think, like, man, am I the only one that does this, that, and that? Nope, you're not. They're out there. You just don't know who they are. So
Right.
these types of like content, what you're doing, it kind of broadens the perspective of a lot of people. It's like, hey, yeah, man, that Chicago Schultz, he's a pretty cool guy, man. That
Oh,
Dusty
dude,
Ray
him and I
Thomas.
hit it off. And it's funny how I don't even know how the hell we even came across each other, but we started and I just saw he was friends with everybody. I was like, why do we not know each other? We live in the
Mm,
same damn city. And then we hung out once, and I was like, where have you been? He came and he got a haircut. That's
yeah,
what he came and bought it, got a haircut, and then he went down in the basement and started shopping. And I was like talking to this dude, I'm like, he's into the same music as I am, and we're into the same stuff and comic books and all this stuff. I was like, why do we not know each other before?
yeah,
So
yeah,
it's super cool, and that's exactly what this is about. It's not about like your social media, like, oh, how many followers do you have? I don't give a shit about that. Like I said, these are people. Hawk Hulk, the guy I interviewed last week, we've been following each other since I've been following Puff. Like, we've been following each other for like a decade almost at this
mm,
point. And I'm like, I've seen a couple of photos of him, but I've never talked to him. So I was like, hey, do you want to do this? And I
yep,
understand people who don't want to do it. I'm not going to sit here and pressure people to don't
right,
want it. Some people don't want to be on the TV and the screen, and I get it, and it's fine. But I'm gonna ask, and if you want to
yeah,
do it, great. If you don't, that's fine too.
yep, yep,
It's
yep,
just one of those things that I feel like it is cool just to actually have a conversation with people about their, because everybody's got a story, man. As we all know, everybody's got a story of how they got into it, and I feel like it's helping people. I think just for instance, when I did the Hawk one last week, everybody was like, "How'd you get Hawk to do this?" And I was like, "I just asked him." I just asked the guy if he wanted to do it, and he said
yeah,
yes. So I was super excited that he wanted to do it, and he's coming from Australia. So he was
yeah,
talking to me at 1 in the morning in Australia, and it was 10 in the morning here. So we had to
yeah,
plan it out and do all this, and it was super cool. Like, I enjoyed that, and it's fun because for me too is, when I'm traveling, going to shows, it's nice to meet people and talk to people. Now that we have people, that I know people face to face, though, it's not going to be as awkward when I meet them in person, hopefully.
oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, most definitely.
So um not that it's I try not to be awkward and when I meet people anyway, but everybody's different. Everybody's
Yeah.
different. So I just want to be welcoming to people of everybody, just to be like, hey man, we obviously have a lot in common. You
Oh
like
yeah,
Superman, I like Superman, you like whatever, I like this. Let's talk about what we don't like and what we do like together about the comic book industry. I think it's fun. So
yep, oh yeah,
yeah,
most definitely, man. And it's a cool thing to see, man. Like I said, it just opens the perspective of just knowing that there are other people that you know are there doing the same thing that you're doing, and it's a beautiful thing, man. I will say this: um, the guys that I've met through Instagram, through all this social media stuff, are probably the most genuine people outside of comic books that I've ever met in my life.
agreed.
And I've been on this earth for 54 years, so it's one of those things, man, where I there's always a good and bad in everything, but I see the good in social media and what it can actually do, you
Right.
know. So this is a good thing, man, that you're doing. So keep it up. And
Yeah,
like I said,
man.
I've linked your channel. So hopefully, man, anybody watching, if you don't subscribe, man, that's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate you. I appreciate Al coming on and doing this morning on Mother's Day. Because I was trying to find somebody. I was like, I don't think anybody wants to. I was gonna skip this week because I'm like, everybody's got their moms, and I get it. And the people anybody who tuned in for even 5 minutes, I appreciate them tuning in for 5 minutes. Yeah, it's great. It's great. So thank
No
you, Al,
worries.
for doing that.
No worries,
Um,
man. Anytime, Pete.
yeah,
Anytime.
man. And I'm going to jump on one of your Silver Age Sundays again. I'd like to do that too again because I got a lot of just Silver Age books to talk about too, so we can do that at some point too. Because
That works.
that's my Silver and Bronze Age are my two jams. Those are the
Yeah.
two things that I'm into. I mean, like I said, we're the same age. I'm about 50 or 54.
Yeah.
We grew up with the same shit.
Exactly.
Even though we're states away and miles away, but we still have a lot in common,
Oh yeah, for
awesome,
sure.
which
For
is awesome,
sure.
which is awesome.
Gen
Yeah,
X is the best.
it's a good one. I mean, I don't know any different, but yeah, it's a good one. It's a good one. Uh,
Oh man.
well, thanks, Al. I appreciate you coming on. Go subscribe to my YouTube. Go subscribe to Al's YouTube. We'll post some links in the bios for everything, and hopefully we get you get some new people on eyes on you and watching your stuff and having stuff in common with you again. I appreciate that all that
No
stuff that
problem.
everybody does.
No problem. Thank you.
Um,
Likewise.
and I'll talk to you about we'll talk about Tampa and we'll talk about C2E2 also
Okay.
down the road. We'll try to get something going for that also.
Cool beans.
So, all right. Well, thanks, Al. I appreciate you. Enjoy the day. Enjoy the rest of the afternoon, and I'm enjoying everybody. Thanks for making comments and giving us a little waves and all that stuff. And we'll talk to you next week. I'm going to do another show next week. This is episode 4. So next week will be episode 5, and then I'm going to take a week off because I'll be in Boston during the weekend, and then we're going to come back. So I appreciate you guys. Enjoy. Al, thank you so much. I'll talk to you guys soon. Have
My
fun
pleasure,
today on
bro.
Silver Age Sunday. Okay?
Okay. All right, cool.
Peace.
All right,
Cheers.
peace.
Bye bye.